The Jungle Survival Camp. In a small town, there was a group of friends who loved adventures. Their names were Anna, Ben, Clara, and David. They always talked about doing something exciting during their summer vacation. One day, Anna found an interesting ad online. It was about a jungle survival camp. The camp promised to teach survival skills in the deep jungle. Excited, she quickly told her friends about it. "Wow, that sounds amazing," Ben said with a big smile. "Do you think we can do it?" Clara asked, a little nervous. "Of course, we can," David said confidently. "It will be a great adventure." So, they all decided to join the camp. Their parents were a little worried, but they knew their children were brave and ready for new challenges. The camp was going to last for 2 weeks, and they would be living in the jungle, learning how to survive with only the things they could find in nature. Finally, the day arrived. The friends packed their bags with the essentials: clothes, a flashlight, a pocket knife, and a first aid kit. They were excited, but also a bit nervous about what was ahead. They met at the bus station early in the morning, and a big green bus was waiting for them. The bus had Jungle Survival Camp written on the side. Other kids and teenagers were also getting on the bus, all looking excited for the adventure. After a long ride, the bus finally stopped at the edge of a thick jungle. The air was hot and humid, and the sounds of birds and insects filled the air. A tall man with a strong voice greeted them as they got off the bus. His name was Mr. Harper, the camp leader. He had been living in the jungle for many years and knew everything about it. "Welcome to the Jungle Survival Camp," Mr. Harper said loudly. "Here, you will learn how to survive in the wild. It will not be easy, but if you listen carefully and work together, you will be fine." The campers felt a mix of excitement and fear as Mr. Harper led them deeper into the jungle. The trees were tall and thick, blocking much of the sunlight. They walked for what seemed like hours until they reached a small clearing. This was where they would set up their camp. Mr. Harper divided them into groups and gave each group a task. Anna, Ben, Clara, and David were in the same group. Their first task was to build a shelter. Mr. Harper showed them how to use branches and leaves to create a simple but strong structure. It took them a while, but they finally built a small shelter that could keep them safe from the rain. Next, Mr. Harper taught them how to find clean water. He explained that in the jungle, water is everywhere, but not all of it is safe to drink. They learned how to filter water using a piece of cloth and how to boil it to make it safe. As the sun began to set, the jungle became dark quickly. The sounds of animals filled the night air, and the campers gathered around a small fire that Mr. Harper helped them start. He explained that fire was essential for warmth, cooking, and keeping dangerous animals away. That night, they cooked their first meal in the jungle. It was simple, just some rice and beans, but it tasted like the best meal they had ever eaten. They were tired from the day's work, but they felt proud of what they had accomplished. As they sat around the fire, Mr. Harper told them stories about the jungle and the people who lived there long ago. The jungle was full of mysteries, he said, and those who respected it would find it a place of wonder and adventure. Later, as they lay in their shelter, listening to the sounds of the jungle, the friends talked about their day. They realized that surviving in the jungle was not just about being strong, but also about being smart and working together. "We did a great job today," Anna said, feeling proud. "Yeah, but this is just the beginning," Ben replied. "We have so much more to learn." Clara and David nodded in agreement. They were excited about the days ahead and the new skills they would learn. As they drifted off to sleep, they knew that the jungle would challenge them, but they were ready to face whatever came their way. The Jungle Survival Camp. The next morning, the campers woke up to the sound of birds singing and leaves rustling in the breeze. The air was fresh, and the sunlight filtered through the tall trees, creating a beautiful green glow in the jungle. Anna, Ben, Clara, and David stretched and yawned, feeling refreshed after their first night in the wild. Today was a new day, and they were eager to learn more about surviving in the jungle. After a simple breakfast of fruit and nuts, Mr. Harper gathered the campers and announced that they would be learning how to find food in the jungle. He explained that the jungle was full of edible plants, but also many dangerous ones. It was important to know the difference. Mr. Harper led them through the jungle, pointing out various plants along the way. He showed them which fruits were safe to eat, which leaves could be used in cooking, and which plants they should avoid at all costs. The campers listened carefully, knowing that this knowledge could be the difference between life and death in a survival situation. "Always remember," Mr. Harper said, "the jungle provides everything you need, but it can also be very dangerous if you don't respect it." After a few hours of learning about plants, it was time to practice what they had learned. Mr. Harper gave each group a small basket and sent them into the jungle to gather food. Anna, Ben, Clara, and David walked carefully through the dense foliage, their eyes scanning the plants around them. "Look, there are some berries," Anna pointed out. "I think these are the ones Mr. Harper said were safe." Ben took a closer look. "Yeah, these are the right ones. Let's pick them." They carefully picked the ripe berries, making sure not to damage the plants. As they moved deeper into the jungle, they found more edible plants, including some roots and wild vegetables. By the time they returned to the camp, their basket was full of fresh food. That afternoon, they learned how to cook using only what they had gathered. Mr. Harper showed them how to make a simple stew using the roots and vegetables, and they added the berries for a sweet dessert. The food was delicious, and the friends felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing they had found and prepared their meal entirely from the jungle. Just as they were finishing their meal, Mr. Harper approached their group with a serious expression. "I have a special challenge for you," he said. "Are you up for it?" The friends looked at each other, a mix of excitement and nervousness in their eyes. "We're ready," David said, speaking for the group. "Good," Mr. Harper said with a nod. "There's a river deep in the jungle. Your task is to find it, set up a temporary camp there, and spend the night. It will be more difficult than here, but I believe you can do it. You'll need to find your way using the sun and the stars, and remember to stay alert. The jungle can be unpredictable." The challenge was daunting, but the friends were determined to succeed. Mr. Harper gave them a basic map with only a few landmarks and a compass. They packed their essentials, some food, their knives, and their first aid kit and set off into the jungle, feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety. The jungle became denser as they moved away from the main camp. The trees were taller, and the undergrowth was thicker. Every sound seemed louder, and the shadows grew deeper. They followed the map carefully, using the compass to keep their direction. After several hours of walking, they came across a small stream. Ben checked the map. "This stream should lead us to the river," he said. "We just need to follow it." The stream was narrow, but the water was clear and cool. They walked alongside it, grateful for the sound of running water, which helped drown out the eerie noises of the jungle. As they continued, the stream grew wider, and the sound of water rushing over rocks grew louder. Finally, they reached the river. It was much bigger than the stream, with fast-moving water that sparkled in the late afternoon sun. The friends stood on the river bank, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "We made it," Clara said, smiling widely. "But now we have to set up camp," Anna reminded them. "We need to find a safe spot, away from the water." They found a small clearing a short distance from the river, surrounded by tall trees that would provide some shelter. Using the skills they had learned, they quickly set up a simple shelter with branches and leaves. They also built a small fire pit, gathering dry wood from the forest floor. As night fell, the jungle came alive with the sounds of animals and insects. The darkness was thick and almost complete, with only the light from their fire to keep it at bay. They cooked a simple meal over the fire and sat close together, feeling the weight of the jungle around them. "This is kind of scary," Clara admitted, her voice just above a whisper. "It's okay to be scared," Anna said, trying to sound confident. "But we're together, and we've learned so much already. We can do this." As they sat around the fire, Mr. Harper's words echoed in their minds. The jungle can be unpredictable. They knew that they had to stay alert, especially in this new, unfamiliar part of the jungle. The night was long and full of strange noises. At one point, they heard something moving through the bush nearby. They all froze, listening intently. David grabbed his flashlight and shone it in the direction of the noise. For a moment, they saw the glowing eyes of an animal reflecting in the light before it quickly disappeared into the darkness. "What was that?" Ben whispered. "Probably just a small animal," David said, though he wasn't entirely sure. They took turns keeping watch, one of them staying awake while the others tried to sleep. The night was difficult, but they managed to make it through without any major problems. As the first light of dawn began to filter through the trees, they breathed a collective sigh of relief. They had survived their night in the deeper jungle. Tired but proud, they packed up their camp and began the journey back to the main camp. When they returned, Mr. Harper was waiting for them. He smiled as they approached, looking tired but triumphant. "Well done," he said. "You've proven that you can survive even in the toughest conditions. You should be very proud of yourselves." The friends exchanged tired but happy smiles. They had learned so much during their time in the jungle: how to find food, build shelter, and most importantly, how to work together as a team. The experience had brought them closer together and taught them lessons they would never forget. As they boarded the bus to return home, they looked back at the jungle one last time. It was no longer just a mysterious, dangerous place. It was a place full of life, beauty, and challenges that they had overcome. They knew that this adventure would stay with them forever, a reminder of their strength, courage, and friendship. And as the bus drove away, they began to talk excitedly about their next adventure, knowing that whatever it was, they would be ready to face it together.